Hey, it's Trip here from the 87th. This video is about the ground mapping radar. In particular, a couple of options, the snowplow option and the CZ or cursor zero eyes option you might be curious about. So the aircraft is on freeze. We're about 7,000 feet heading somewhere at slow speed while we talk about these two features. Now when I turn the ground mapping radar on, and the way I do that, if it's not displayed already in the MFD where I want it, then I just come up and hit this OSB1 and choose either ground mapping or ground mapping radar shows moving targets, or I can select the C mode. Beacon mode's not implemented. So anyway, I come over here and I select the ground mapping radar to be on this MFD. Alright, so by default the radar cursors are going to come up on the currently selected waypoint, which is steer point 3. And over on the HSD you can see the white pointing cross over the top of steer point 3, which is illuminated white filled in circle to indicate that's the current steer point. Now if I take the radar cursor and I slew it away from that point, immediately I get a flag here at OSB 10 on the HSD, and for some reason they put it at OSB 9 on the GM radar. But what that is telling me is I've taken the diamond in the HUD here and I've moved it away from the currently selected steer point. I'm making a pseudo waypoint or a false waypoint, and that false waypoint position is indicated by this diamond. Alright, let me show you what happens with this. Let's say I move the cursor away. Let's say home plate is steer point 3, and I've moved the cursor away from steer point 3, or I forgot to put it, to zero eyes or cancel the slews that I had input. And so now I'm on my way home. I turn the aircraft to put the steer point diamond in the center of the HUD, and I'm thinking that I'm on my way home, when in fact I'm actually going to this point here on the HSD where the pointing cross is, not to steer point 3, which is home plate. So my wingmen are probably wondering, where am I going? So it's very important, and to me it's like this white backlit CZ. It's like a little guy down there waving his hands at me, trying to get my attention. Says, hey, look at me. Do you really want, slews in your radar system? And the answer, of course, is no. So you'd want to zero out those slews by hitting the OSB. Now watch what happens before I clear out those slews. Right now, let me put the map in center mode. Right now the pointing cross is down and to the right of this currently selected steer point. Watch where the pointing cross goes when I select steer point 4. It moves to a position that's the same relative position down and to the right. Move it up to steer point 5, and if I get the range out here a little bit, well, it's not going to let me on freeze mode. Well, let me get this over. Alright, so anyway, so there it is in that same relative position. So it stays in that same relative position no matter what steer point I have selected. Alright, so if I head for that diamond up there, I won't be going toward home plate in this example. So I've got to be real careful about that. So you always want to hit the cursor zero. That needs to be in your HOTUS. I'm sure it already is. You use it all the time, and you're always having a need to zero eyes that cursor. So if it's not in your HOTUS, you need to put it there. Alright, let's say I'm cruising along here. I'm in ground radar mode, and I'm going to choose a steer point that can't be seen. Alright, so I'm cruising along and I see a target on the ground up here, a city or something, and or an airport, and I just kind of want to interrogate that with the radar. If I look down here at the FCR, or the ground mapping radar, I really don't know where the center of the cursor index is looking. Okay, I can figure it out. It's over here about in this position, but how far off screen, I don't know. So the easiest way to get the cursor to be out in front of the airplane is to hit this snowplow or SB mnemonic. Now that puts the cursor by default about mid-range from whatever you have selected here. And it's not the sensor of interest yet. We have the TMS forward. And when we do that, now the ground mapping radar is the sensor of interest. Now the pointing cross on the HSD, as I move the cursor around, the pointing cross will show me where I'm pointed. I don't have any indication in the HUD like a diamond or anything, and I don't get the CZ when I do it this way. Okay, so I'm strictly looking at, say, that target right there. I could lock that up with a TMS forward. It won't stay locked because the range is too far, but I could lock it up, or I don't even have to lock it up. I could just put the cursor over the target and go to the TGP and take a closer look at it if I wanted to do that. So that's what snowplow mode does for you. And to get out of snowplow mode, obviously you just hit the snowplow mnemonic again, and now the radar cursors jump back to your currently selected steer point. Alright, I think that's what I wanted to say about those two features. I hope this helps, and trip out.